I was talking to one of my coworkers today, and the last month or two, work really slowed down. As a matter of fact, we sometimes have weeks where collectively we lose more business than we gain. In other words, teachers decided not to go forward with a position, they move on, right? So they get subtracted from your books, and the new people you bring on sometimes don't fill those voids fully, and you end up having a negative week. And one of the things with our jobs as recruiters is sometimes there are rounds of layoffs, and they can be very, very stressful, especially this time of year.
Today really sucks. What's up, guys? Y'all, I'm struggling so hard today. I took the Deferred Resignation program and have so much regret.
I was watching a video today about the DMV. That's the DC, Maryland, Virginia, little tri-state area. And there were a lot of federal workers that ended up taking the DRP, which is the Deferred Resignation Program. And it was kind of a gamble. It's like, hey, we're going to give you full pay up until September. And then once September is over, we're going to do a clean split. Now, you might say, why would anybody take that deal? Because if you didn't take that deal, there's a chance that you could just get laid off, and and then you're done for.
I have so much regret. Even with all of the crazy stuff going on in the government, I really miss the security of that job. And I feel like I have no community of people that also took it, which makes me then feel even worse because I feel like I didn't make a thought out decision, but I did think it out. I prayed about it. I am so frustrated with my decision.
But here's the problem. Shantae Graves thought that she would obviously be able to find something in that time period, but she hasn't been able to. In addition to tough times and a lack of funds and bills piling up, she's also kind of depressed because she always loved the security of her government job. Now, whether you're okay with the layoffs, like maybe you're not a government worker and you're okay with these moves or not, you still have to feel for people that are struggling, again, this time of year especially. So I feel really awful for those people that are going through that. Every time people talk about how long they're out of work, it seems to get progressively longer. It used to be if you were out of work a month, something was wrong with you. Now, most people are out of work, it seems like 3 to 6 months, and there's even some people that have been out of work for going on 2 years.
And today just feels hard. Like, I just wish I would have just stayed and let them fire me or lay me off or whatever instead of taking this. I feel like I could sit with it better. And I'm just really struggling today. I'm just really struggling today.
Could you imagine? You see these help wanted signs everywhere, and then you go there and you apply and you still don't get the job. The only places that I see out here in Arizona are the fast food chains. And some of us just grew up in a world and a mindset where we told ourselves, I am never working fast food. And I think that's what happens with a lot of us to this day. There are some jobs that we just don't want to take. But I think a lot of us, if we have our backs up against the wall, I think we would work fast food. I know I would. I'm sure you guys would too. Let me know down in the comments Are there any jobs that you wouldn't have taken once upon a time that you think you would actually take now? Yesterday we were talking about the idea that Uber and Lyft and DoorDash, if you tried doing those in the past, you probably would have made enough money to pay your bills. Now, because there's so many people trying to make enough money to pay them bills and make ends meet, your chance of even riding Uber and Lyft successfully are probably greatly diminished over what they were just a couple of years back. One of the things that I heard a lot, especially during the pandemic, was people were starting these like dog walking businesses. Well, here's the problem with that. If you find a dog walker in your neighborhood, you're probably already out of business because he or she is probably already walking those dogs. And because the economy's so tight, who the hell is going to pay you anything worthwhile to take their dog out for a crap? We don't want socialism, because socialism slowly but surely leads to communism. You don't want communism because that leads to a world of lethargy where nobody wants to try, because why try harder than your neighbor? You're just going to end up making the same money. There's no reason to try hard. So we don't want communism. But with capitalism, we're starting to see some of the problems. We're all slaves to the shareholders. So if a company wants to make profit, they're going to increase layoffs. Then they're going to jack the prices up. Then those people that are laid off can't find other jobs very quickly because all the jobs are disappearing. That sounds like a whole type of scary movie that we never thought about growing up. They should have made more scary movies about this. Maybe the end of the world is not some giant mushroom cloud in the background. Maybe the end of the world is everybody slowly but surely realizing there's nowhere to work, there's no money to make, and there's no product that's that you can afford. Everything's expensive. Speaking of horror movies, let's check out some of these comments. And I want you to do me a favor, viewers. For the first time ever, I want you to picture that these people are literally right next to you saying these comments out loud. In other words, these people are literally some of our neighbors. Nikki says, "This is scary. I'm over 40, and I don't know that I've ever seen a job market so bad. It's as if this was intentional." So the company has a layoff. It makes their stock go up because all of a sudden they're making higher profits because they cut off some of that payroll that was draining them, right? That was holding them down. And then those people that get laid off, in the past, they could take their skills and go find a job elsewhere. The problem is all the companies are laying off at once. So if UPS lays off 10,000 people and you go to apply to a job there, they're probably not hiring. Or maybe they are, just at lower wages. Okay, so you get all the young unemployed men to live in their mom's basement playing video games. I'm not saying they are, and I'm not saying anything about these guys. Let's just say that as a country, you have tens of millions of young men playing video games in the basement. Because they're hidden from view, you don't really see how bad the unemployment is. Because look outside your house, it always looks the same. Everybody's inside, everybody's got a car in the driveway, everybody's got food in their stomach. At least now they do. But if all of a sudden the games turn off and nobody can afford to play video games anymore, and all of a sudden you have people hanging out in their front yards, how many people in the neighborhood actually are unemployed? You just can't see it. That's what's so crazy. And the reason you can't see it is where some of us used to go outside all the time. Now people are content sitting inside staring at a screen, whether it be on their phones or on a video game console. Bernard Limpet says, "I am unemployed, 6 months looking and nothing in sight." Whenever you take a vacation And when you do leave a job, for that first couple of days, doesn't it feel good to sleep in? It feels awesome. You actually go to the gym, you work out for a little bit longer than you normally would, and you try to enjoy yourself. And it is enjoyable. But then about 2 or 3 weeks later, it starts to become a bummer. Why isn't the phone ringing? Why aren't any of those jobs that I applied for calling back? And before you know it, you're letting your hair grow out and you're not shaving. You're no longer going to the gym, you're just sitting there watching TV, hoping that a job will come up, and it never does. You go to some of these job interviews and they make you go through 10, 11 interviews only to tell you that they decided to go another route, another direction. Could you imagine that? I think if they make you go through more than 2 or 3 rounds of anything, they should have to legally pay you for it. Because that's ridiculous to have people go through multiple rounds and then not get a job out of it. 6 months and looking. Think about what 6 months is. That's damn near 200 days, right? 180 some odd days. That is a long time to be looking. And unemployment is probably what? Just a small percentage of what you normally make? It's nothing that you can live off of. Every time we take a look at these food shelters, right, where you can go, these food banks, it looks like it's a mall filled with people in every direction. Every parking space is filled with a car waiting to load up on free food. We are literally in a nightmare, but the way it's hidden from us, we just can't see it. I'd be willing to bet the world looks a lot more scary to a blind person. Because think about this, it used to be we didn't hear about these stories of unemployment and horrible poverty, at least not this much. If you're blind and you can't see anything, all you're hearing is people talking about how everything's too expensive, how they're homeless now, how there's nothing that they can afford, they can't buy food. Their rent is being jacked up $300. If you were a blind person, you probably think we are on the brink of the very end, because think about this. The reason we think nothing's a big deal is because we can see. When you see, it looks like everything's peaceful and calm. You start listening though, and you start to realize things aren't so peaceful and calm. Max Power says, I'm 40 years old, and at my experience peaking in the tech field, I cannot get a damn interview anywhere. Who the hell writes the word damn interview anywhere in a comment unless they're literally starting to get worried? People don't write goofy comments like that unless it's true. This guy can't get an interview. I would ask him, hey Max, do you think you can beat artificial intelligence when it comes to writing programs or whatever the heck you do in your field? Are you one of these people that's being replaced by artificial intelligence? Will you ever get another job in that field? Are you actually wasting time by trying to keep in that field? I had a job once, and it was just a pathetic job. I don't even like to talk about it, but it was one of these jobs where it was like I was just hoping that things would turn around. There's a movie, I think it's called Glengarry Glen Ross, and it was all these salesmen, and they were thinking that their job was dictated by the leads. And in reality, their job was just dictated by time. People got tired of their old system. It goes back to Willie Loman, Death of the Salesman. We're all living in yesterday's world, and none of us is prepared for tomorrow. It's fantastic. It's very scary. I can't wait to see how it plays out. Bombay Beach says, welcome to my world, a year and a half out. This video had so many comments of unemployed people. Notice that all the unemployed people are watching YouTube making comments. That means that they're in an air-conditioned building watching YouTube. If they were outside, we would be freaking out. I noticed over the past 3 or 4 years that instead of 1 or 2 cars being outside of a house, because if you think about it, A house should only have 1 or 2 cars outside of it, unless it's a big family. But what's happening is people are moving back to their family, and I'm starting to see 4, 5, 6 cars in front of a house. Well, Jesse, that could be an entrepreneur just selling vehicles. Yeah, let's give credit for 1 out of 20 houses being a guy selling used cars. The other 95% are people that are living with family members. Sometimes you'll even see these giant motorhomes and you wonder, are people living in the front yard? I think they are. And I'd like to know your thoughts. In your neighborhood, when you take a walk, are there more cars at every house than ever? What do you think that means? Unemployment is rampant. People can't find jobs for extended periods of time. Nobody's outside because everybody's inside playing video games and watching TikTok, hoping to get over their depression. Everybody's medicated. Oh my God. I think we need an asteroid to come and take us away from this misery. Jeez Louise. And every job, including my own, when you start to struggle, when you start to have a slowdown, you start to question yourself, is this a slowdown because we're getting closer to Thanksgiving and Christmas and teachers aren't going to be making moves right now? Or are we literally starting to see, everything change, everything go to shit at the same time? At least I have a hobby that's free. Let me tell you about it. I walk every single day. I've been drinking water like crazy. And believe it or not, your boy is still avoiding sugar. I mean, other than a little treat here and there, but basically no sugar. And I've been doing multiple push-ups, leg lunges, sit-ups. I'm telling you, I've gotten rid of a lot of the soft pudgy for more of like a muscular fit feel. And again, I'm 49 and a half years old. 49 and a quarter years if we want to be honest. If you lost your job tomorrow, do you have enough saved up and can you cut back on enough stuff that you could survive for 3 to 6 months? A lot of people are going to say no to that question, but there's a couple that can say yes. If you're in that boat, even though you think you're safe, maybe at least plan an escape route. In the past, I would have said, get your car ready for DoorDash or Uber or Lyft. Now it looks like that might not be an option anymore. What's your next plan B? I don't even know mine yet, but I know one thing. I have an advantage. It's this walk. It gives me a half hour every day where I can think. Well, at least it would if I wasn't always blabbing my mouth talking to you. But with that being said, you can take my words and my advice. Go on a walk, think of a plan B, so that if anything ever happens, you can jump right into that plan where other people are shell-shocked for a week. Make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe. We're gonna start doing some reaction videos with Mandy. You get to meet her. Have a great night, I'll see you later.